Opponent pivots into Trevenant and it is Shadow Typhlosion time. These Shadow Claws tearing through this tree. Vince going to respect the potential Shadow Ball. The opponent full sends. Typhlosion can now heavily overfarm. Vince farms up to the double Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch is resisted but more than enough to knock out Azumarill. Will be returning and usually a pretty good fire counter. However, Typhlosion has a party trick Thunder Punch. Forced to protect shield, and the second one is going to rock this pesky Blue Mouse very deep into the red. Welcome back to the channel. Today, my good friend Vince, fellow PvP Fight Club admin, has submitted us the buy one get one free combination on buff Pokemon for season 19. Of course, you've probably seen Shadow Typhlosion by now. Everyone's running Incinerate. However, Vince is opting for the more flexible Shadow Claw. I personally think Shadow Claw is better. Despite Incinerate, even when resisted, doing as much damage as a neutral Shadow Claw, using a 2-turn move just gives you far more flexibility and the ability to pivot in and out of matchups, which is kind of what you need to do when running a glass cannon such as Typhlosion. The second buff Pokemon we're going to be taking a look at is going to be Fearow. Fearow essentially is Niantic's baby, much like Claydol. They give it a move update more or less every season. Steel Wing got buffed, they buffed Aerial Ace, they gave it Drill Run, it still wasn't particularly good. Now they've given it Fly. Is it any good? Well, there's only one way to find out. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, we'll leave the Shadow Quagman into Skeleturge. You love to see it. The opponent say switches into a shiny Serena, and we get our first look at Fearow. Fearow not going to appreciate the incoming triple axle. One of the reasons it's so difficult to use is it is so glassy. We shield up the triple axle, return fire with the fly. Fly forces the protect shield, Vince. Now in somewhat of a tricky spot as triple axle has a 100% chance to vamp up your attack, Vince. Unwilling to shield the second one. Fearow gets vanquished, back to its Pokeball, losing switch to a grass type. We're not off to the best start, but Typhlosion comes in, gets the full Shadow Claw farm down and leaves with residual energy. Back out comes Skeleturge. Vince fires off 2 Shadow Claws and the Blast Burn for optimal fast move time, and the opponent shows no respect. That is resisted damage, and Vince then able to Shadow Claw farm down before the opponent even reaches a charge move. Out comes Wigglytuff. Typhlosion fires off the first Blast Burn, forcing the protect shield. Vince looks to reach the second. Unfortunately, we're unable to get there, but the Quagman is going to have more than enough in the tank to get rid of this pesky Charmer. Vince going to shield up the incoming Icy Wind. However, no debuff will be saving this opponent's fate. Vince again shows very good fast move timing. 2-turn into 3-turn. You want to put 1, 4 or 7, so Vince through 1. He then reaches the second Stone Edge, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. One battle in, Typhlosion looking like a monster, and Fearow, let's be real, looked about as garbage as it always was. In the next battle, Quagman 2 for 2 on picking up Skeleturge leads. The opponent say switches into Skarmory, and we respond with Typhlosion. Vince blocks up the incoming Sky attack. Vince going to farm up to the Blast Burn. He's actually going for the Thunder Punch bait, but is it really a bait as Typhlosion has the same stat product as Charizard and hits like a truck, so it probably would still knock out regardless. Vince continuing to overfarm, and he's going all in on Typhlosion. We shield up the next Sky attack. Vince looking to double up, so if the opponent shields once, they're going to lose switch regardless. The opponent recognises that, just let Skarmory go down, and out comes Bastiodon. Trainer, you are so weak to a Mud Boy. We fire off the Blast Burn. Blast Burn lands. We pivot into Quagman. The opponent can make a catch if they want. Regardless, Vince is going to go Aqua Tail all the way. The opponent tanks the Aqua Tail. Recognise the game's over and they are out of here. GG's. The opponent running ABA weak to a Mud Boy with a stupid brick wall. And I'm very glad to see Vince wreck them. The Quagman picking up all the leads. The opponent save switches into Feraligatr. Vince going to tank the Hydro Cannon. And we can actually use Fearow here, as Fearow, due to his normal typing, is double resisting these Shadow Claws. The opponent doesn't farm up to the Ice Beams. We should survive a Hydro Cannon. The opponent actually fire off a Crunch. I've got no idea why. As even with a debuff, you're not Shadow Claw farming us down. Vince returns fire with the Fly. Fly lands for massive damage. Fearow gets the Steel Wing farm down. Let's go, Fearow. Let's put in some work, buddy. Back out comes Gligar. The opponent very unlikely to shield, and Fly lands for a lot of damage. The opponent is going to get the full Wing attack farm down, but Fearow actually put in a lot of work. Back out comes the Quagman. We fire off the Aqua Tail on the charge attack priority, forcing the opponent's first protect shield. Vince looking to match shields. We shield up the Aerial Ace. The opponent then pivots into Ninaitc. We get a huge amount of lag. Vince banks the Aqua Tail and sends out Typhlosion. Ironically, these neutral counters are doing more than our super effective Shadow Claws. Vince shields up the Night Stash. The opponent gets the boost. Typhlosion About to show its limitations, a boosted Night Slash, of course, more than enough to knock out. It's all down to the Quagman to clean up. We fire off the Aquatail. Aquatail forces the final protection. The opponent counter farms down, and Vince is going to take a loss. In the next battle, yet again, Quagman picking up a nice lead. Holy! My favourite mud boy, the best mud boy in the Great League, is looking like a monster. Aquatail only cost 35 energy and it rocks Toxicroak into the red. Vince, was that a sludge bomb? Of course, this is week 1 of the season, so if you are newer to PvP, make sure you learn your typings. Ground does resist poisons. If you're Toxicroak, don't sludge bomb a ground type. We fire off the Stone Edge, forcing a Protect Shield. From Altaria, we then pivot into Fearow. Fearow goes straight for the fly, and again, that is very respectable damage, as Altaria is one very tick boy. The opponent then full sends a Moonblast, which in my humble opinion is massive overkill on the very glassy Fearow. Vince then sends out Typhlosion, and we're met with Vaporeon. This again will be where Thunder Punch comes in clutch. Thunder Punch, oof, did a lot more than I was expecting. However, you don't really see Vaporeon too often in the Great League. Vince going to burn the final Protect Shield. The opponent fires off the Scald. We then snipe with the Quagman. Back out comes Altaria. If his Aquatail forces the final Protect Shield, we've got the Thunder Punch banked. It does indeed force the final Protect Shield. There is zero chance Typhlosion is going to lose CMP. And that is going to be all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing. As you can tell by the huge amount of the lag, this opponent has rudely force closed the app. Don't be that guy, as that is super bloody annoying. In the next battle, we see Umbreon of the Sky, the bulky, very annoying Vulture, Mandibuzz. This one is the Air Slash variant, which is going to do more fast move pressure but generate less energy. Vince full sends a Stone Edge, rocking Mandibuzz below half health, and we see the catch onto Fearow. Fearow can't tank too many hits, but Mandibuzz does hit like an absolute wet noodle, so Fearow easily able to withstand the Dark Pulse. Vince then looking to get Mandibuzz off the battlefield, fires off the fly, securing the knockout. Fearow very aggressively flapping away, and out comes Azumarill. This opponent running a very bulky team, and clearly they think electric types are a myth. Vince farms up, fires off the fly, forces a Protect Shield, and Azumarill is going to get a very nice bubble farm down. We send back out the Quagman, as of course Typhlosion isn't going to fancy tanking this residual energy. Vince shields up the play rough, out comes Trevenant, and it is Shadow Typhlosion time. These Shadow Claws tearing through this pesky tree. We see the instant shield deployed. Vince respects the potential Shadow Ball. The opponent full sends, and Vince now very much in the driver's seat. Vince farms up to the double Thunder Punch, despite this being resisted. It is going to secure the knockout, get that pesky tree off my screen. Back out comes Azumarill. Usually water types have a good matchup into Typhlosion, but Typhlosion has that party trick this season of the Thunder Punch. The first one forces the Protect Shield, and the second one is going to leave them very deep in the red. The opponent does commit to the full bubble farm down. Back out comes the Quagman. One mud shot, we reach the Stone Edge, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see the battle of the Shadow Mud Boys. Wishcash used to be here, there, and every fucking where, due to them having a 50% chance to lower the opponent's attack with that Scald. However, this season it's only got a 30% chance, so it's nowhere near as annoying. The opponent tries their luck, fishing for the debuff. They fire off the Scald. Let's go, no debuff, which is going to mean this next Aquatail is going to come very close to knocking out. The Aquatail forces the Protect Shield. Vince not looking to lose switch. Happy to shield up the Mud Bomb, knowing he is going to be able to outpace to the next Aquatail. And as we didn't get debuffed, this will be securing the knockout. Ball is in the opponent's court. They look to 2-shield their lead. The opponent looks for the farm down. Vince tries his luck at catching a Mud Bomb unsuccessfully. The opponent banks their energy and send out the Kentucky Fried Chicken. Bird of Death. Vince fires off the fly. Fly lands for massive damage. Despite these Steel Wings being resisted, we're actually going to force some energy off Talonflame. However, Vince finds himself in a very tricky spot, as we're probably not going to tank a boosted fly, and Wishcash has a whole heap of energy. Vince is going to respect the boosted fly. We need our switch timer to pop up. The opponent doing us a favour, allowing our switch timer to cool off. Vince spamming the switch. Okay, we make the catch. Is that going to save us? I don't think so. We're going to need to Shadow Claw farm down before the opponent reach another charge move. Fuck, they're doubled up. Can we survive a Mud Bomb? No. No, we cannot. And the opponent is going to pick up the dub. GG's to that opponent. After a string of good leads, the Quagman finds itself facing a Grass type. However, we've got 2 Grass type answers in the back. We say switch into Fearow, and we're met by Frost Breath Lapras. Vince looks like he's fallen victim of the early season spice, as the opponent is going to be able to frost press farm us all the way down. I guess we just send out Quagman, look to use it as the damage sponge, and hope that Typhlosion can sweep the back line. I've got no idea what this opponent's going to throw. Luckily, it's only a surf, I'll be honest. I was expecting some kind of nuke, like a hydro pump or something crazy, but they just go for the back-to-back surf. Vince actually shields up the second. We then see the pivot into Typhlosion. Typhlosion gets a running start, but we are down a protect shield. The opponent sends out Alola Marowak Vince, going for the Thunder Punch bait. Despite Thunder Punch hitting for neutral, Blast Burn will do more damage because Blast Burn is such a busted move. Not only is a resisted Blast Burn doing more damage, it's actually more energy efficient as well. All the elemental punches are pretty mid at best, they're very underwhelming, but Typhlosion very grateful for that cheaper charge move in this situation, as Typhlosion able to get rid of Marowak from the battlefield. Typhlosion absolutely popping off back out. Comes Ivysaur, we bank the elemental punch for the road pivot into the Quagman, serving up that wham bam combo play. Stone Edge rocks Ivysaur deep into the red. We're even able to reach the Aqua Tail, and Quagman is an Ivysaur counter confirmed. You heard it here first. Quagman proving why I think is the best mud boy, as Wish Daddy Cash would not be doing that. In the next battle, we see another grass type in the lead. We save switch into Fearow and met by the silly electric fish. We fire up the drill run, which does quite underwhelming damage to Lantern, to be brutally honest. However, we do force some energy. The opponent fire off the surf. Are we able to reach the next drill run? Unfortunately, we are not. We have got Lantern pretty deep into the red. I get a lot of people ask me, what is the correct moveset for Quag? I personally like this Aqua Tail Stone Edge combination. However, Mud Bomb would be very nice when you're facing a steel type like Ferrothorn. We're able to get a huge Mud Shot farm down, however this energy isn't going to go particularly far against Ferrothorn. We pivot into Typhlosion. The opponent switches out Super Late into Gligar, and Typhlosion now smelling blood. The opponent fires off the Night Slash. Definitely not the recommended move, although it is slightly quicker, taking only 5 wing attacks, then 4. We fire off the Thunder Punch bait Vince, continuing to farm up. As the opponent switched out so late, I don't even think we need to bait it. I think we can go double Blast Burn. Vince does reach the double Blast Burn, and that isn't CMP. So this Gligar is about to get cooked. The first Blast Burn forces the Protect Shield. The second one is going to relieve him from the battlefield. Get that Gligar off my screen. Despite the very satisfying boom, I think we're still absolutely fucked. Any move will knock out from this range. Quagman potentially can knock out with 2 Stone Edges. Does this do 50%? Not quite. And to be honest, we still get outpaced, so Vince is going to take a loss. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see former top meta king Metachan. We see the save switch into Fearow, and again we're met by the silly electric fish. This thing has been nerfed, but apparently is still as common as it always was. Drill Run, we already know that's quite underwhelming damage. The opponent is going to fire off the Surf. Surf this time does secure the knockout, so I guess the last opponent actually intentionally undercharged, looking to get more farm. We send back out the Quagman. Quagman is going to be unable to Mud Shot farm down. So if I was Vince, I'd throw 6 Mud Shots and then the Aqua Tail, looking to maximise energy. Vince actually fires off slightly earlier, but to my surprise, Aqua Tail forces the Protect Shield. The opponent then plays to the CMP tie. They do not win. Shout out to the GOAT, Home Slice Henry, for that quote. The opponent committed a really poor shield in the mid-game, but we're certainly not complaining. Quagman fires off the Aqua Tail. The opponent invests a final Protect Shield, and you do not want to give Typhlosion a 2-0 shield advantage. Vince respects the power-up punch. I'm not entirely sure why, as the opponent only had the energy for a power-up punch. Typhlosion is glassy, but I don't think you need to shield a power-up punch. Vince tanks the boosted power-up punch and looks to get rid of Metachan instantly, not to take any boosted counters. Blast Burn, of course. Massive overkill. The opponent's final Pokemon is the Bear Trap, and blink and you might miss it. Stunfish straight in and straight out. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see someone else testing out the newly buffed Typhlosion, but a very nice lead for the Quagman. The opponent safe switches into Poliwrath, and we respond with Fearow. Despite us being a flyer and then being a fighter, this isn't a particularly great matchup. Icywind near knocks us out. We are going to reach a fly, but the opponent likely shield and counter farm down. The opponent does invest that Protect Shield, and they're nearly at full health. Vince, I'll be honest, buddy, what is the Poliwrath counter on this team? Vince actually sends out Typhlosion, and we are in trouble. The opponent only goes for an Icywind, but Typhlosion, very glassy. Vince respects it. He's then going to farm up, look to get rid of him with the Thunder Punch. However, the opponent probably be annoying and shield because they recognise that Poliwrath is very good. We look to fire off the double, The opponent actually catch onto the bulky vulture. This debuff Thunder Punch doesn't do all that much damage, Vince. Looks to bank some energy, then pivot into the Quagman. Quagman needs to put in so much work. It's always nice to bank energy on a glass cannon like Typhlosion, as you're likely going to win CMP. However, giving Mandibuzz this huge energy lead is going to prove to be quite a problem, and that debuff Thunder Punch didn't put it in Stone Edge range, or at least I don't think. It does around 55%. I think they're going to survive this. We really need this to knock out Stone Edge. Doesn't quite do enough. It looks like we also get some lag as well. Unable to fire off the Aqua Tail, but I think this is just game over. We send back out Typhlosion. The opponent send out their own. Blast Burn lands for absurd damage, but unfortunately we are going to get resisted. Incinerate farm down and take a loss. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see the Quagman into Charger Bug. Ever since Ledson Cat told me it's a 9-volt battery, I cannot unsee it. The opponent safe switch into the Mighty Blue Mouse. We fire off the Stone Edge. Stone Edge does some very nice chip damage, and we pivot into Fearow, essentially throwing it away. Switch advantage not that important to us, as we have two very nice answers to the Charger Bug. We're able to survive the Ice Beam. That Ice Beam did a lot, considering Azumarill is very defense weight. We fire off the Fly. Fly forces a Protect Shield. The opponent does commit to the full bubble farm down, and we've now got a shield advantage. Vince sends back out the Quagman. The opponent has enough for a Hydro Pump. Vince respects it, and of course we get baited, because who doesn't love to bait a Shadow Pokemon? This can only be an Ice Beam, so we see the instant no shield deployed. Vince tanks the Ice Beam. We then heavily overfarm before firing off the Aqua Tail. Even resisted, this will be lethal. And we've got the Stone Edge banked, should Charger Bug wish to return. The opponent actually opts to send out Greninja, and regardless, we full send the Stone Edge. Stone Edge! Forces the Protect Shield, and let's go Typhlosion. Typhlosion, of course, going to have to respect the Hydro Cannon. They're likely Night/Bait, but it's very risky. The opponent, to my surprise, is not baiting. We reach the Thunder Punch, but is Thunder Punch enough to knock out? Yes, it is. Get that Greninja out of here. Typhlosion is going to be able to sweep as we reach the Blast Burn on the Charge Attack priority, and this Blast Burn is probably enough to kill Charger Bug and all its relatives. GG's, and thanks for playing. Holy, Typhlosion popping off. In the next battle, we see another silly electric fish, but this is exactly where we want to see it. This is another matchup where the Mud Bomb variation of Quag would be favourable. Run Aqua Tail and Stone Edge. If you go straight Stone Edge all the way, Lantern is able to outpace, as they're 6 to the Surf, whereas we're 7-6 to the Stone Edge. We fire off the Stone Edge, doing some very decent neutral damage, but unfortunately doesn't quite put them into Aqua Tail range. Vince then shields up the next Surf, farms up to the double Aqua Tail. If the opponent shields once, they're going to be forced to shield twice. The opponent tank the Aqua Tail, which isn't quite lethal. We then get one further Mud Shot, and the opponent sends out their own Quagman, but this isn't a great situation to be in if you're the opponent behind this much energy. Quagman, being very annoying and very spammy, the second Aqua Tail forces the protection, and Vince tries his luck at catching a Mud Bomb onto Fearow. Is this a Mud Bomb variant? What a catch! The opponent answers our Fearow with Mancargo, and do they know? We fire off the Drill Run. Does the opponent respect the damage? No! I thought this was Fearow's moment to shine. Vince doesn't even shield, knowing he's going to get debuffed by the incoming Rock Tomb. I really wanted to see the one-shot, and we are denied of that big boom. Heartbreaking. Vince now sends out Typhlosion. Typhlosion, of course, going to shield up the incoming Rock Tomb, and then look to heavily overfarm. Rock Tomb has a 100% chance to lower our attack. Vince banks a boatload of energy, pivots out into the Quagman, fires off the double super effective Aqua Tail, which secures the knockout. This game is already signed, sealed, and delivered. If I was Vince, I'd no bobble this, as they're certainly in Blast Burn range. Vince fires off the Aqua Tail. We actually go for the BM Thunder Punch, but even if we wouldn't reach that Aqua Tail, Blast Burn certainly does 50% to a Shadow Quag, and Vince picks up a very comprehensive dub. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see another buff Pokemon. Scrafty this season did get access to Thunder Punch, something our Fearow isn't going to tank particularly well. Oh god, come on Fearow, you can survive, buddy. The opponent actually running Power Up Punch still. I think Scrafty has fallen out of the meta due to his lack of coverage. If you're going to run this fighter that needs to pull its fucking trousers up, I'd highly recommend Thunder Punch. Vince looking to shield the next Power Up Punch, looking to force the final Protect Shield or the knockout. Is the opponent willing to two-shield the lead, or is Fearow finally going to get his boom? Fearow in the last battle does get his big boom. And what is that? Shell gone. What does this team do against the Charmer? I'm guessing you just top left. Shelgon, another very spicy pick. We full send the Stone Edge. Stone Edge lands doing massive damage. We should survive a Twister or Flamethrower that the opponent lightly runs. They fire the Flamethrower. Vince banks the Aqua Tail, pivots into Typhlosion, getting a running start, and out comes Nidoqueen. The opponent quite slow on the switch, so he can go straight Blast Burn, as long as the opponent can't Poison Jab Farmers down first. Holy crap, Typhlosion rapidly running out of HP. Vince still not baiting. The first Blast Burn forces the Protect Shield. Come on, Typhlosion, get there, Typhlosion. Just about hangs on. Reaches the next Blast Burn, massive overkill. Get that Nidoqueen off my screen, back out. Comes Shelgon, we've got the Aqua Tail banked, and Vince is going to end the video, picking up a dub. GG's, and thanks for playing. Huge shout out to my good friend Vince for a very fun battle submission. I appreciate you, buddy. And I also appreciate you giving me a laptop. Speaking of which, we are going to try and update it, and hopefully we will be streaming later in the week. So what did we learn in today's video? Despite Ninaitc trying their best to buff Fearow once again, it's still pretty hot garbage. I would not recommend. However, Typhlosion, an absolute monster. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on my channel, link to battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.